I don't know when. Oh, we're live. There we are. It says live. So we're live. The broadcast is live. Welcome to Sean from Seether. Our logo is blocking his name out. We don't even know if he's really him. So.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Tom and Emily from the 95 Will Rock Tom and Emily Morning Show. First off, Sean from Seether, thanks for doing this with us today. It's really good to be actually talking to and seeing bands again and stuff like that, even though it's virtually. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. So,
well, thank you guys for the invitation. Appreciate it.
You're in, this is what we talk about now because we're in the Midwest, is the weather. Are you in Nashville right now? Are you at home in Nashville?
Yeah, and it just started snowing again. I think we got about 3 inches last night, and then so my kid was having a blast out there this morning. She made a snowman, and they were making snow angels out there. But it's now snowing again, and I thought it was over, man. I didn't realize we were going to do. We can't go anywhere really because they don't plow our area because we live sort of right on the outskirts of one of the suburbs, so it's kind of rural actually. And there's like a mile or so around us that's completely snowed in, so we won't be going anywhere anytime soon.
So is it Lily, your daughter, right?
Yeah.
So has she seen a lot of snow before being in? How old is she? Is she like just freaked out by all of this, or?
She loves it. She'll be 4 in July, so she's right at that age now where everything is sort of brand new. She might have seen some snow when she was younger, but it was nothing to write home about. It was like when you get that sort of dusting, and it's sort of just really snow in theory rather than actual snow. So. She was sledding yesterday. We don't have a sled because we didn't prepare for something like that. So
Nashville, you don't need a sled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we just grabbed a plastic tote lid and let her go to town on that.
How about those are the best sleds anyway?
Well, it's like a 3-degree slope in our backyard too, so it's nothing mind blowing
right.
or exciting.
It's not the Black Diamond.
She had a blast. Yeah.
How about you being from South Africa? Are you okay with snow now, or do you hate it? Because does it snow there? It doesn't really snow there. It never snows there.
Not growing up. I think we got snow one time that I was there, and I lived somewhere. I lived in a part of the country that was right near the Drakensberg Mountains, which if you drove up to the mountains, you could go see snow, but you'd never have snow fall in your yard. Yeah. But I lived up in New England for a while. I was up in New Hampshire for probably 4, maybe 5 years. I don't quite remember, but and then obviously you get tons of snow. So I like it. I mean, I think it's cool to have seasons and that actually look like different seasons, whereas Nashville, sometimes you can have all 4 in the same day. But I mean, it's the slush that sucks, but everything else about winter, if it's going to be this cold, I mean, at least give us something to have fun with, and snow at least sort of softens the blow a bit.
That's fun stuff. So we're here to talk about the new album. And first I want you to say the name of the album for me and tell me what the hell it means.
Si vis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. That's basically the concept was we had finished the album in January and February. We were sort of mastering and mixing and all that good stuff, and we still didn't have a title for the album. So I just did some online research. I was kind of scouring the internet looking for idioms or sayings or something that would kind of jump out at me. And because I didn't, for the first time in a long time, I didn't actually have an album title prepared. And usually the album title will come way earlier than even the songs. So it was an interesting position to be in. So I happened to stumble across this Latin website, and there was all these sayings, and it was interesting, but nothing really was grabbing my attention until I saw this one. And it just leapt out at me, and it kind of made a lot of sense. And I think it tied in a lot of things, society-wise, world-wise, musically-wise, with us musically, social media. So it kind of was an all-encompassing phrase that can be taken, I think, in any you can sort of interpret it your own way as well, which I like about it as well. It's not something like, well, this is the title, this is what it means. It's like, okay, well, here's a string of words. Take from it what you will. You know what I mean? And sort of apply your own meaning to it, which I like.
Does it tie in specifically to any of the songs on the album, or is that kind of the theme of the album overall, or it just sounds like cool Latin?
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of it has to do with I'm a big anti-social media guy. I've never been a fan. I don't.
It's the worst thing ever.
You're a smart man.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have any personal social media. Obviously, for the band, it's great. It's a PR tool, and it's a great way to get information out. So
it's ruined the world.
But I never enjoyed the way social media made you instantly available to somebody else that you've never met on the planet, and they can say whatever they'd like to you, and then you can choose to respond or not. And in the very, very early days of Twitter, I actually did have an account because it was the hip thing to do, and man, I got myself in so much trouble. Like if it was this wussy climate we live in now, where you can't say anything offensive, I would have been out of here, man. They would have ejected me from the planet, because I'm not very politically correct. I'm obviously I don't want to upset anybody if I can help it, but I'm also, I know that the way I respond to things is so knee jerk and so emotional that I would tend to say the wrong things or say them in a very mean way. But I had weirdos reach out, and then there was a death threat or two. There was there was a couple stalker type incidents. So I realized, look, I'm getting myself in trouble because I think I'm hilarious, but I'm not gonna. I don't know that I want these things to live on. And B, I just it's not for me. I'm very comfortable being separated from the music side of my life and my personal life. So as far as being involved in maybe promoting the new songs or new albums and all of the requirements that come with the new products or the new music, that I'm fine with. But for me personally, I don't have any of the social medias. Quite honestly, I don't have any sort of fear of missing out. I think I'm actually a lot happier for it, to be honest.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. You're not.
You're not missing much. I used to think the world was nice and well-adjusted and enlightened, and now, thanks to social media, I know it isn't. I have a rule that if I wouldn't say something, and it's a good rule, I didn't have it always, and once I adopted this rule, it makes social media more, at least survivable. I won't say anything on social media or type anything that I wouldn't say to a person's face. And I think the problem is like 98% of people don't have that rule. If you'll say something on social media that you wouldn't say to a person's face, you're a pussy. And a lot of times, if you would say those things, if you would say those things to a person's face, well, then you're an asshole. And Emily and I, like even today, we're talking about a coworker who's either been a pussy or an asshole to us within the past 12 hours, but we don't know which it is. So, I mean, if you won't say something to a person's face, don't post it online,
Yeah, well, Mike Tyson made a good point, man. He said, that social media has created and I don't know the actual quote, but he basically said social media took away the accountability. So, for example, if you would say what you want to say on social media, if you would say it to somebody's face, you might get a backhand. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what his whole point was, is that everyone has these huge swollen nuts online because they can't actually be reached out and touched, right? It'll just become a war of words. But that was, I thought, quite an insightful thing, because I think I forget sometimes that Mike Tyson is actually a really intelligent guy. He doesn't, he never seemed to come across as that when he's doing boxing interviews, but if you listen to his interviews nowadays and the things he says, he's quite insightful. And I thought that was just one of the better ones that reminded me of currently the climate on social media.
Have you seen this new TV show?
No.
It's animated, and he's like a detective.
I've seen that one. Yeah, the Mike Tyson mystery. But that one's great, man.
I get a little
being himself. Awesome.
I get a little altered and watch that, and it freaks you out. It's pretty good, actually. So we only got about another 14 minutes left with you, and I got some important stuff we got to get to here. First off, I went and looked at an interview that we did. I think it was 9 years ago. We did it. What was the date?
I thought it was 2009, wasn't it?
Well, it was 2011, May of 2011. Okay. So 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago this May. And I want to catch up on some things that we found out. You were talking earlier about names of things. We talked about the name of your new album, which is called, you say it, I still can't say it.
Seether Pacem Parabellum.
You think disc jockeys are way smarter than we are.
I was going to say, why are you making our jobs harder? Why?
The next one will be just like a simple one-word title, so you guys can.
A grunt, maybe a grunt. So back then, we were talking about the song, Country Song, and you said that was the working title of the song, and that one just kind of stuck. Do you remember, we talked about the song that turned out being Forsaken. Do you remember what the working title was for Forsaken on that album? And I want to know if you were just screwing with me when you told me this, or if it really was the working title of the song.
If it was Forsaken, you know what? I actually have a folder somewhere that I can try and cheat my way through this. I don't remember what it was called, man. That was so long ago. You know what? I don't even remember what these ones were called on this new album.
You said Forsaken was called Sphinctal Muscle.
Oh, Sphinctal Muscle. Yeah, that was a good one. Let me see if I can pull up some of the other ones for you, so I can tell you what other gems we had in that.
I always want to know if you were just screwing with me or if that's really what it was called.
No. We had Bag of Nails, End of Day, Getting Lucky on the Dance Floor.
I remember that one.
Disaster. We got Spartacus. Then we had Bone Age. We had Jazzy Loops. We had Snowplow.
Why do you get rid of these? These are awesome. Sphinctal Muscle would have been a huge hit. Not that Forsaken wasn't a great song. Why do you change the names on songs? Why do you do that?
Well, the thing is, because when I throw down the working title, as I'm writing them, I have to save them, so obviously I don't lose the ideas, and I just really just write whatever comes to my mind, and often my mind is a little strange. So it becomes like a little word game. So I can kind of what I try to do, like for example, on the last album, "Let You Down" was called. I think what is the second single for the last album? God, I'm terrible. Anyway, the working title was "Chung Chung Chuckagung" because that's what the riff sounded like, right? So it was like So I was like, okay, cool. That's gonna be. So I try to at least give some sort of reference to myself, but with these names, I'm like. I think also those were a combination of other band members also having a say in it. It's not always me because at that time Troy was in the band as well, and some of those ideas came from him. So there was a lot of
the new single that we're playing off the new album. It's Bruised and Bloodied. Did Bruised and Bloodied have a working name before this, or
Bruised and Bloodied? I think it was called Sexy Shite. If I'm looking at
Sexy
it right
Shite.
Yeah.
The working titles are better than the actual titles. Can I tell you the bass? The bass at the beginning of that song is sexy. Like the way the song starts with bass, it sounds sexy, right? I think. Well, I don't know.
Dangerous was called Weird Eastern Vibe in the beginning, and then
that's fun. Thanks for taking us behind the scenes on your song naming process.
I'm just glad I could pull these things up and this album there weren't that many interesting ones. I had idea 1 through idea 25 was one block of them. I just ran out of ideas. So I wrote about 50 songs for this album. So there was a lot of music. There's Hey Hey Hey. There's then ideas 1 through whatever.
So
I had a song called Pole Dance.
Where do these songs go then? Other bands have a glut of songs right now because they've been in quarantine and everybody's writing all this music. It's like everybody's going to have 30 albums after they can start going back out again. Are you guys going to release another albums even though this one hasn't even been out a year yet? Is there going to be more material right behind this? Do you have a glut of stuff you're waiting to share with us or not?
Well, we got some stuff in the pipeline coming out this year. I think when the next single drops, we're going to maybe release a little something that goes with it. And then there's talk of maybe doing some stuff because next year officially is the anniversary of Disclaimer. So we're already working on maybe remastering Disclaimer and doing a re-release of it on vinyl, and then doing something kind of cool because that folder I just pulled up has basically got demos from when we were sarin gas in South Africa. So it's stuff from as far back as 1999. And what that does is, thankfully, is I have almost every single demo to every single song we've released. So we've been talking about potentially when we do these reissues, releasing it as a double disc and having the remastered original album, but then also putting another disc of the original demos as a side-by-side companion. Yes. So you can kind of see where it started and how it grew. You know what I mean? I was hoping we could do something like that. So I've been sort of digging through all of these demos to see if we can actually in fact do that. But then things like, for example, Fine Again was never demoed in any digital form. It was basically a tape cassette that we had because we were told by our producers, look, you guys don't have a song, go write something, come back in a couple of weeks, and we need a single. And so I was really mad about it. We drove, so the studio was about 10 minutes away. We drove to the drummer's house. We went into the room, and I was playing a 7-string at the time, and I basically wrote Fine Again on the spot. And it was really talking about the frustration of what they were asking us for. And I was, sort of saying, look, I everything will be fine. Let's just do this. Let's give them this stupid song. And we never thought anything would happen with it. So we got it back in the dude's truck, dropped it off at the studio. We sort of threw the tape at them in disgust, because we were like, here's your single. Because we were kids with so much attitude, man. Yeah. And then we drove to a nightclub and went and proceeded to drink copiously. But they called us on the drive and said, this is the song we've been waiting for. So but we don't have that one on demo and digital. So that tape cassette, wherever it is, that was the only demo we ever had of that. So,
but if you dig that up, and release it with all its hiss and everything, people would just eat that up, because, and I'm sure it sounds way different than the final product. People love that stuff. Plus, you've got so many acoustic versions of things you could also use too, or whatever.
Yeah, we've actually we've been doing some acoustic stuff recently. We just had the band over to Nashville a couple of weeks back to do a couple acoustic versions of some things. I think actually we even did we did one of Bruised and Bloodied as well, which is currently being mastered, I think. So I don't know if we'll release that in how it's going to be released, because I don't know yet. But as long as it's nice to have this little. It's not so much an acoustic version as it's an alternate version with acoustic guitars. It's kind of got some piano and strings. It's not like the traditional thing where you pull out the all the instrumentation and leave the vocals and the drums and then just put some other stuff in there and call it an acoustic version. We actually recorded it from the ground up, but I do have some demos of when I was about 14 years old. There's about 5 or 6 songs when my voice hadn't even broken, and it's like, okay, the tape's rolling, and we start playing.
I still sound like that.
Yeah, but yeah, I've got some interesting stuff, man. I think a lot of it will come out one day when I've shuffled off, but.
We've only got about 5 minutes left, and I got a bunch of listener questions I want to try and get to. People are wondering about Seether, Sean, so you want to plow through some of these. Well, first, I have one more. Back when I talked to you in 2011, you guys were watching MASH and Top Gear on the tour bus and playing Mortal Kombat on PS3. How's that for the time? PS3 is like 2 systems ago now. What are you watching now in quarantine, and are you playing any video games?
All right, so. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I recently got back into World of Warcraft, man. I'm kind of a nerd in that sense. I bailed on them for a year or two because I just we were still touring really, and I was writing music and stuff. So basically rediscovered it about 4 or 5 months ago when the new expansion came out. So I've been playing that a bit.
Do you let people know who they're playing against? Does anybody know they're playing against Sean from Seether? No,
I just roll solo through the thing, man, and it's kind of what it is really is it's become kind of meditative in a sense, and it's just when I need an hour or so in the day just to sort of decompress and not think about how the planet has fallen apart, I just jump on there and do that, Yeah. So that's if I had a PlayStation 5, I would probably play something else. But
if you could find the damn things, right? You're Sean from Seether. There ought to be one sitting on your doorstep right now, man. Kelly wanted to know. Kelly said he was lucky enough to see you in Studio East. He wants to know. First question is, how many guitars do you own?
Last count, I had about 45. But let me just qualify that. Okay, a lot of them are really bad, crappy guitars that I've picked up as I've gone through pawn shops and stuff. So it's just kind of just for to have something on the road if I didn't have something. So there's a lot of horrible acoustics. I've got a lot of obviously Schecters that were given to me over the years, and then I moved from Schecter to Music Man about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So I've got some of those, and then I bought a couple along the way. Like I bought some acoustics because we never found anyone that wanted to give us acoustics after Alvarez kind of folded. So I mean, I have 5 or 6 here.
That's reasonable.
Yeah,
you can play them.
And then don't forget, a lot of them were broken and damaged along the way. So
I own 3 bass guitars and I can't play them for shit. So it's fine that you own that many. He also wanted to know how many flannels. You don't have to go into that.
Currently I got about 4 that I rotate through.
4. Miguel wanted to know, do you really use words as a weapon? I mean, I think that song was for that reason, right? I mean,
I think yeah. When I get annoyed or when I get mad, I often may say the wrong things, and I'm working on that. Actually, I'm trying to get better.
I think he was making that as a joke, but I think that's a prolific.
Hey,
people do that. People do that.
Everything is serious all the time.
And then I want to read this. This is serious. This is from Matt. We only got about 3 minutes left. I really want to get to this one. I think it's important. Matt wrote, my 22-year-old son, Matthew, tragically lost his battle with mental health issues and took his own life April 30th, 2020. I just wanted to express my gratitude to the members of Seether for creating the Rise Above Fest, founded in 2012, to raise awareness for suicide prevention and mental illness. And we talk about that a lot on our show. People dismiss mental illness, as something that people should be able to correct on their own, and it really isn't. And so there's a stigma attached to it. And you guys do this fest, and I know that it's affected you personally, and I just think that's a great thing. What's the status of stuff like that, like Rise Above Fest and things like that? And I want to thank Matt for his question.
I wanted to give my condolences to Matt. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It sucks. The current situation around the world hasn't helped, obviously. And I'll be honest, I've had a dark 2020 was not a good year for me mentally either, man. And it's difficult because sometimes I have to put on the brave face, but meanwhile, as soon as the cameras go off, you just collapse into a heap, right? Because it's no one's immune from this. But yeah, Rise Above Fest, we basically have had to put it on hold, obviously, because of 2020. Now it looks like maybe 2021 we'll have to put it on hold as well. But we can find other ways to raise the awareness. So it doesn't have to be the festival, but we will bring it back at some point. And at this rate, I would say definitely in 2022 it's gonna have a rebirth. Whether that's here in Tennessee or if it's maybe down in Florida or wherever makes the most logistical sense, it's gonna come back because it was doing a lot of good, man. And in fact, there was an incident and an issue that happened with us having it up in Bangor, Maine, and we just found out that we thought it was a standing agreement, right? And then suddenly we hear there's a Rise Above Fest happening, and we aren't even being told about it. So it was a whole thing. We had to do a cease and desist, and it was it just got ugly for some reason. But interestingly enough, here's the thing that kind of made me feel good about it was nobody showed up to the new one because they knew we weren't involved. So they knew it was just like it wasn't for the right charity. I mean, the charity was still tied into it. This one that we work with Save, but people came because we really believed in it, right? And it's because I have experienced it personally, and I know how devastating it can be. It comes from a place where I'm really trying to prevent it as much as I can. Nobody's got that kind of power, but I'm really really passionate about suicide, and obviously trying to create the pathways that people can sort of explore as far as how do you deal with it when you're down. Look, I spent a whole year drowning every sorrow that I had in vodka, and it wasn't good. I've come out of the other side of that, and there was light at the end of the tunnel, and I've sort of grabbed 2021 firmly by the scrot so that I can not just waste another year, but it's tough, and at times I got to really dark places, and as much as I've given advice about it, and as much as I've said, hey, try this, try that, I wasn't following my own advice, and that was when stuff got scary. So creative outlets like music for me helped me through, and really being able to speak to somebody. That was the whole point of the festival, was saying, hey, reach out and say something to somebody, because it's the loneliness that you feel, it's the isolation that you feel, and it's like you feel trapped inside your own head the whole time, your own mind, and really there are really successful ways to deal with that. But it's something that's, depression's been a thing that's been with me for my entire life. And obviously a year like 2020 didn't make it any easier. And I'm trying to be a dad and a husband, and I'm trying to, do all of these things. And it was very, very difficult at times. And so I understand how difficult it's been for people, because it got really, really dark at times. And
someone said to me a good thing. They said, people say, oh, you should reach out. No, you should reach in. Check up on people. Even if you think they're doing okay, reach in on people and make sure that they're doing okay in this time. We're out of time, and I don't want to make you late for the next radio station or whatever you have to do, Sean. But I really appreciate your time talking to us today. Looking forward to seeing you guys out on the road. The new album kicks ass, whatever it's called.
Thanks,
say it again. I'm never going to get
Pacem Parabellum.
My Latin sucks. I should have listened to Miss Petracchi.
Just call it Parabellum. It's
Parabellum. There you go.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. When we get out in the world again, and you're coming through Chicago, you're going to stop and see us. We got a lot more stuff to talk about. We want to hear some more Seether. So stay well. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And this has been great. It's great hearing from you. Thank you very much. We'll see you when we see you.
Hell yeah, man. I'll hold you
to
it.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right.